We're not sure where the young men in right field come from, the military, but we appreciate their support this afternoon. They've been with the Braves all night, all afternoon. Pascual Perez is the batter. Gets a nice hand. He's endured here this afternoon. If you've been listening to our broadcast, there have been 2 pitchers thrown out for throwing at hitters. Perez hit Wiggins at the start of the game. And ever since then, it's been throw it and duck. He just got hit. He just hit Perez, and now here come the Braves, and they're after him. They're trying to get at Leffert, and everything's breaking loose. Everything's breaking loose. Garvey is in there grabbing somebody. Bedrosian's got somebody. There's fights all over the place. You knew it was going to happen if it happened again. You knew it was going to happen if it happened again. Watson still got a hold of somebody. They're still milling around, and you knew it was going to happen if it happened again. I say that because Lefferts hit Pascual, and now someone's going for the corner. No, they're going for the dugout. I don't know what's happening over there. Now there's fans are in it. Somebody trying to get into the dugout. Now they're fighting over by the Braves dugout. Some fans jumped into it. Now the security is involved.
I couldn't see the guy. He got away from Watson. Watson let him go, and then he ran to the dugout after Pascual Perez. And Horner, broken wristed, all came out of the dugout to fend off whoever that was, and then they grappled on the ground. But Watson let a guy go, and that guy, I wish we could see who he is. I'm sorry that I didn't get his number. It's tougher to recognize a guy when he has his cap off if you don't know him.
Oh, now Lefferts out here.
Perry just knocked him down, and the fight goes on. Donnie Moore knocked someone down. Norm Sherry and Cummins got into it, and then Cummins realized it was
Look at Rick Mailer's in the middle of it.
And by the way, you know what? I don't blame the Braves. They threw at Perez 4 straight times, and you can't allow that to happen to your pitcher. I mean, he hit Wiggins in the side to begin the game. That's all he did. It was Champ Summers who ran into the dugout.
It still isn't over.
Oh, no.
It still isn't over. McSherry's going to throw out both ball clubs. Murphy and everybody right in the middle of it. Joe Torre and his team charging that mound after Perez, ducking all afternoon, is finally hit by Lefferts, and that was all they could take. That was all they could take. And there's 6 more games to play with the Padres.
Well, I think it's a good stance by the Braves.
And I don't know if someone over here might have got hurt. And it was the bat boy that was in the way of that rush. He's being let off. I think he's all right.
The Braves finally stood up. They had to. The Padres threw at Perez for the whole game. That's not allowed. And the Padres, of course, what difference you do if you fine them, but the Padres really should be fined heavily for this.
Here it is, Lefferts, who's got good control, and watch this. Right at Perez, hit him. And that was what triggered it. Braves players now returning to their dugout. Boy, I've seen some in 40 years, but I've never seen one like this one here today.
No, neither have I. And
that went from the playing field right into the stands. I don't know who was being chased over there.
Well, Champ Summers ran to the dugout. He got away from Watson, and Horner came out of the dugout because Perez was in the dugout. The Braves were holding Perez in the dugout.
Okay.
So Summers went after him. Then two fans who got into it were ejected, and they were led off out of the right field stands by two police. But again, this all began when Perez, to open the game, hit Alan Wiggins in the side. Okay, so the Padres retaliated. Fine, but they retaliated all afternoon long. And Chambliss, his old teammate, just tackled Nettles. Moore hit Nettles. And now there's a brawl going on in all areas of the infield. And Chambliss, Nettles tried to tackle Moore. Moore got out of the way. And Chambliss then went, his old teammate, and tackled Gregg. And Nettles challenging Moore. Moore says, come on out with me to right field. Let's go. Now someone is trying to get at Moore, and Watson tackled him. Murphy's in front of the dugout. Nettles now got knocked down hard. Nettles got knocked down hard as he challenged Donnie Moore. By the way, after the first fight, I have the people who were ejected when you need it.
Boy, Hubbard put a block on Nettles coming around the outside, and they're right in front of the Braves dugout now.
You know, we're very lucky it's the last game of this series. They're all in front of the Braves dugout now. Nettles was trying to get at Donnie Moore. Nettles was knocked down first by Chambliss, then you say the last time by Hubbard.
I didn't think that Moore would throw at him. But now Moore is out of the ball game. The Braves are running out of pitchers, and they still got to win a ball game.
And Bedrosian
has been thrown out.
And so has Mailer. Now it's getting into it again. Flannery is fighting with Hubbard. Hubbard dragging him away. Joe Torre had a hold of Alan Wiggins. Torre
still
is now
scuffling over here.
Pignatano is dragging someone out of the fight. Well, Bob Watson really knocked down someone. Amazing.
That was Gossage, I believe. Folks, we've never seen anything like this in our lives.
I haven't, and I've been watching baseball games since my daddy took me to a game when I was 5 years old, and I've never seen anything like this. Nothing even close.
There's still a half inning to play, and I don't know if there's going to be any players left to play.
You know, Bedrosian got kicked out of the game, but he was right on the field during the fight, during the second fight. Kicked out after the first fight.
Just another day at the ballpark.
Going to be a very long 10th inning program. Recap all this.
Boy, you talk about an old-fashioned knockdown, drag 'em out. Well, we got to remember we're on radio. We've just been watching this. Nettles will get first base. And Moore will be ejected.
Well, Nettles has to be ejected, too. I mean, Moore got hit by the pitch, but Nettles got hit by the pitch, but
he charged the mound, so he may be ejected. I don't know. We'll see.
He broke away and went to the dugout trying to get after him. I mean, I've been a friend of Greg Nettles for a long time, but he has to be ejected from this game. I mean, that's not possible. Greg is still on the field, by the way. He and Chambliss kind of talking and laughing about it. They were really good friends with the Yanks. And Nettles is now there talking with Chambliss and Royster. Dale Murphy's been in the middle of it, acting as peacemaker, just like Garvey was for the Padres.
Everybody's been in it. And they will have a runner at first base. There will be nobody out. But we're going to have another pitcher. Gene Garber is now going to start loosening up, I believe.
From the first fight, Bobby Brown and Champ Summers were ejected for the Padres. Rick Mailer, Steve Bedrosian, and Gerald Perry. Perry got a good lick in on someone, too, during that first fight. And he was ejected. But Bedrosian was back on the field, so was Mailer. Well, Nettles, I think, is being told to leave.
All right, the last retaliation was for Perez being hit. So doesn't that make it even? I mean, for right now, can't we play the top of the ninth? All even?
I think now, because you get another runner on.
Oh, they're in some San Diego Padres went into the stands over here. They're throwing beer or Coke or something on the Padres. On the Padre who went into the seats. Now somebody's trying to steal a glove.
Royster brought down a fan who was trying to steal a glove or a hat with a flying tackle. And that young man, who is obviously
inebriated
or
got to be to do
deeply
that.
troubled, is being taken off the field by the police.
Glenn Diamond was looking for a documentary A Long Way to October or something like that. This is it.
You know, whoever the Padre was, we couldn't see him. He was being held by 3 police. As they were holding him on the top of the dugout roof, fans kept throwing liquid in his face. It's like one of those things at the carnivals, you know, where you're... Oh, my, what a day. I've never seen anything like this, Ernie, and when you tell me you haven't, then
No, not close.
After this a longer time than I have, boy. Not close is right. I've seen a fight, I've seen, you know, but not it happened continually throughout the game.
Fly ball left center field. Murphy coming. He caught it. He caught it on a dive, and the Braves win. The Braves win. Murphy on a dive in left center field. What a catch to end it all. Dale Murphy diving on the ground. Spread out. Gloved that ball, and the Braves have won it by a score of 5-3.
Well, I'm going to wrap up the Braves game. The big part of the game had nothing to do with the ball game. As far as the ball game, Perez against the Padres and Ed Whitson, Claudell Washington a 2-run home run for a 2-0 lead. RBI singles by Royster in 2 different innings to make it 4-0. An RBI double by Ramirez made it 5-0. Nettles homer to make it 5-1. And in the ninth, the Padres scored 2 excuse-me runs after all the action had been over. But what really happened to the game, to open it up, Pascual Perez hit Alan Wiggins in the side with his first pitch of the game. When Perez came up in the second inning, he was dusted off by Ed Whitson, and then the warning came, and so both teams were warned. The next time a pitcher came close, the pitcher and his manager would be thrown out. It happened in the fourth inning. Whitson again came after Perez, so Whitson and Dick Williams were ejected. In the sixth, Perez was hit again, or was thrown out again by Greg Booker, so Booker and Ozzie Virgil, the coach, were thrown out. In the eighth inning, Craig Lefferts hit Perez with a pitch, and then the first major brawl broke out. It went all over the field. People were thrown out of the game. Okay, ninth inning, Nettles comes up. Donnie Moore takes over for Perez. He hits Nettles in the side with a pitch, and another major brawl broke out. There'll be a lot of finings, a lot of suspensions. As I say, you'll see this on your local news highlights tonight. Braves win at 5-1, split the series 2 games apiece. They're 9.5 games behind the Padres. It probably is too late, but at least this will fire up and hopefully unite the Braves the rest of the way, and it might be the best thing ever happened to them.
It's been an unforgettable afternoon here at Atlanta-Fulton County Stadium. One I'm sure the fans who were here, over 23,000 of them, who had to wait for 2 hours in the rain before this ball game ever got underway. But I'm sure they will be back, and I'm sure that they may be back that final weekend of the season when the Braves and San Diego get together again. I can tell you this. Joe Pignatano was very frank in our interview, accusing San Diego manager Dick Williams of inciting this whole afternoon that we had happen, and I would have to say right now that I think this thing is far from over.
In all probability, both clubs will be warned at home plate, which means the first incident people will be thrown out of games. But I think something more stringent will probably be ready for us when we get out to San Diego. It's not going to be till about the third week of September, so we'll just have to see what happens.
Well, what more can they do besides have 4 umpires there?
Well, as I say, they could maybe make you lose the game if you have any kind of continuing incident like what happened today.
You ever, in all the time you played, seen anything like this today?
No, we've retaliated in the past against Dick Williams ball clubs, and I've never seen something to this degree, no.
Everybody run to the dugout, like jump into me, like I killed somebody, So I'm being, I don't care. It's what happened. I just said today, every time I got hit, he tried to hit me. I don't know why.
We all know why. The Padres were after the Braves pitcher ever since he hit Wiggins in the first inning. And according to Atlanta manager Joe Torre, Padres skipper Dick Williams is behind it all. Now listen. Torre says something ought to be done.
I think Williams should be suspended. I can't tell the president of the National League what to do, but something like this can't go on, because when he ordered all this thing to happen, all these things to happen, he wasn't obviously in any position to get hurt.
But a lot of other people were. 8th inning, Padres reliever Craig Lefferts goes for Perez, and the first bench-clearing brawl erupts.
So now Jack Kroll runs the glove, and Lefferts delivers inside, and I think he's going to be gone too. Here come the Braves. They are going after Lefferts. For the 4th straight time, Perez coming to the plate, and we've got one going now.
But, they threw too many times at Pasquale. I mean, if they'd have just hit him with the first pitch, everything would have been over with. But, you throw 4, 5, 6 pitches at a guy, and after you've been warned, I mean, you got to do something. I mean, you wouldn't be a man, you'd be less than a man if we didn't go out there and challenge the guys.
The attack on Perez, according to Atlanta players, was blatant.
No doubt about it. It was all intentional, and I think that as soon as Wiggins was hit in the first inning, that their manager said, "Get Pasquale, and I don't care how long it takes."
They moved to the 9th inning. The stadium peaceful, but the guns were simply being reloaded. Donnie Moore lets go with a pitch that nails Craig Nettles, and in an astonishingly frank statement, Moore says,
"I was going to throw at somebody whenever I got in there anyway. I don't care what the score was, because after they hit him, they threw at him 8 or 9 times, and they finally hit him, I just thought it was bum rap, and I got to protect my hitters."
So the fight was on, the longest, wildest brawl you can imagine.
And we got another one breaking out. Another one is breaking out. Gene Garber pulling Tim Flannery away from somebody.
This is the best fight I've seen on TV or anything else. I've never been involved more, and I never got hit so many times and never hit so many people that I even know. I ended up, friends of mine on the other team. I was, I hit maybe 4 of them, and they hit me, and it's just a brawl that you don't like to see, but it was bound to happen.
Run away. It's your heart that you betray.
in on him.
It began in the top of the first, and with the very first pitch, Pascual Perez hits Alan Wiggins. And the question right away is, did Pascual do it on purpose?
Oh, I don't do it on purpose, because I don't try to hit nobody. I try to pitch in my game, I try to pitch inside, outside.
The Padres didn't buy that, and when Pascual came to the plate in the second, Ed Whitson threw one right behind his head, which brought both benches out. No punches thrown, no ejections, but warnings were issued. Anybody throws at anybody else, they are thrown out of the game. Fourth inning, Whitson again. Again, the pitch is tight. He's thrown out. So is Padre manager Dick Williams. Now, would this signal the end of the beanball war? Not by a long shot. It happened to Perez again in the sixth, and Greg Booker of San Diego was ejected. And then in the eighth, it really broke loose.
So now Jack Kroll runs the club, and Lefferts delivers inside, and I think he's going to be gone, too. Here come the Braves.
As fights broke out left and right, Perez retreated to the dugout, and San Diego's Champ Summers went after him and ran into Bob Horner.
Pascual was in the dugout, and the only person between me and him, between Summers and Pascual was me, and, he ain't going to get one of my players as long as I'm standing there.
At that point, the fans got involved. That led to arrests. That led to more ejections. Steve Bedrosian, Rick Mailer, and Gerald Perry were gone. So were more Padres, but it still wasn't over. Ninth inning, Donnie Moore on to pitch. Greg Nettles fouls off the first one. Moore throws another.
I really wasn't trying to hit him. I was just trying to throw inside. I don't want to go out there and hit anybody and try to hurt anybody. That's stupid.
That precipitated another round of boxing, the final round. What had begun in the first inning lasted the entire game. The San Diego view is that Perez threw at Alan Wiggins, which Perez denies. Joe Torre is placing the blame solely on San Diego manager Dick Williams, who was thrown out of the game in the fourth inning.
I think it was inexcusable to have the thing continue on and on and on. And as I say, I think it was only done because Dick Williams knew he couldn't get in the middle of the fight and get punched up a little bit. And I think it's inexcusable. I think it's gutless. I think it stinks. And I think he should be suspended for the rest of the year. Because he didn't throw the ball, but he ordered people to throw it, which is Hitler-type tactics.
Baseball, though.
It's smart. It's one
as
of
long
those,
as you're not going above the neck.
Right.
I guess it's just part of the game.
Well, that's what some say. Some say not. But 14 players and coaches were all ejected from the ball game. A couple of the Braves players that had been ejected from the game came back out for the second fight yesterday, so they may be in for some heavy fines. And it looks like Rick Camp may be lost to the team for the season. He has a severe groin pull, and they'll find out more at further examination today about that following the big brawl. The Braves, by the way, won the game 5-3 yesterday. That certainly wasn't the story. And Mr. Torre was blaming Dick Williams for just about everything that happened out there yesterday.
It went
too far for sure. I mean, you know, we hit Wiggins, whether it was on purpose or not. They had their shot to get back at Pasquale, and you don't do it 4 at-bats. You really don't. And the guy who caused the whole thing was Dick Williams, and he was in no danger of getting hurt when he was in the clubhouse or down the runway, insisting all his people, you know, go ahead and load up and hit and hurt anybody you want.
And how about a rebuttal from Mr. Williams from the other dugout?
There's a rule now that forces them to interfere, and it causes a lot of other stuff. Who gives a damn if the manager gets thrown out with a pitcher? That's no problem. Who gives a damn if the pitcher gets thrown out? That's no problem. It's a bad rule. It's unfortunate that the umpires are hamstrung that way with the rule.
And on that last big brawl, it was Bob Horner stepping in front of Champ Summers as he came charging across from one dugout towards the Braves dugout. And it was the captain, Bob Horner, who jumped out and stood in front of Summers so he wouldn't get into the dugout.
You know, we just did what we had to do. Hopefully it won't happen again, but, you know, we still have to play him 6 more times.
At Atlanta Fulton County Stadium yesterday have seen something that many fans never ever see and probably never will see again in professional baseball. A series of brawls erupted as the Braves were beating San Diego 5-3. Before it was all over, 14 different players, managers, and coaches were ejected, 5 from Atlanta and 9 from San Diego. It all began when Pascual Perez hit Alan Wiggins in the very first inning. Then 4 different times, San Diego responded trying to hit Perez. They finally succeeded in the 8th inning. That was when the first brawl broke out. Another one broke out in the 9th when Donnie Moore hit Greg Nettles with a pitch. And before it was all over, 14 people ejected from the game. 5 fans, some of whom went down in the field, were arrested and charged with disorderly conduct. The Braves, as we said, were 5-3 winners. And after the game, Braves coach Joe Pignatano said he thinks he knows who is to blame for all the fights.
But once Whitson threw behind him, it should have been all over. But he didn't, and this is what kept the whole thing going. And I think the thing that kept the whole thing going is manager Dick Williams. That's his type of baseball. I've seen it before.
President Chub Feeney today. Included in the report will be the ejections of 14 players, managers, and coaches. The game's chief umpire, John McSherry, says 3 Braves players who face possible severe penalties are Steve Bedrosian, Rick Mailer, and Gerald Perry, all of whom were tossed out of the game in the 8th inning, only to return to the field in the 9th when the second of 2 brawls broke out. Umpire McSherry says he blames the entire affair on the Padres and their manager Dick Williams, who apparently ordered his pitchers to brush back Pascual Perez, who hit a Padres batter with the first pitch of the game.
Feeney's taking a look at films probably about now, and there's going to be some handed out. I would say a few people are going to miss some games, 2 or 3 Braves probably. They ought to keep Dick Williams out of managing for a couple of days, but that probably won't happen. That was a mess. You know, I'm all for a little bit of frustration release, but that one got a little out of hand yesterday.
Well, Joe Torre is all over Dick Williams' case. Do you think justifiably?
Yeah, I think so. Because
what about the thing that started it? Did Pascual throw intentionally?
We'll never know. You know, the first pitch of the ball game, that's when he hit Alan Wiggins, and that's like, well, first pitch could have been stray. You never know. I mean, Pascual maybe wasn't warmed up properly, but after that, basically the rule of thumb in baseball is you retaliate once if you're going to retaliate, but you don't throw at somebody 4 or 5 times or whatever, and that's what San Diego insisted on doing yesterday. 5-3 when everything was all cut and dried. 14 people ejected from that game, and 5 fans were arrested at the stadium yesterday. Started off, Pascual hit Alan Wiggins on the first pitch of the game. Nice way to start it. When Perez batted in the second, Padres pitcher Ed Whitson threw a pitch behind Pascual's head. The Padres bench emptied, but nothing serious happened. Perez hit the dirt when Whitson threw a high inside pitch toward him in the fourth. Whitson and manager Dick Williams of San Diego both ejected. Well, relief pitcher Greg Booker threw a high inside pitch to Pasquale in the 6th. Booker and the substitute manager Ozzie Virgil were tossed out. Both benches emptied, and there was a 15-minute delay there. Craig Lefferts hit Perez with a pitch in the 8th. Both dugouts emptied. 20-minute delay. 4 Padres and 3 Braves tossed out. And there was another brawl and 3 more ejections in the 9th after Donnie Moore hit Greg Nettles with a pitch. After that brawl, a fan hit San Diego's Kurt Bavacqua in the head with a mug of beer. There were 5 fans that were arrested. So it was kind of a mess yesterday, and there will be some pretty stiff penalties, some pretty stiff fines, I'm sure, coming out of what maybe is one of the worst brawls in baseball I've ever seen anyway. And
very strongly about what the Padres did. Could that give the Braves a little oomph for the rest of the way?
Well, it could. And this is what surprised me about Dick Williams, too. I've known him for years. I played against him a long, long time ago. And he's from the old school. And there used to be a saying in baseball, let a sleeping dog lie. Don't wake him up. And I had managers after we had gone into, say, Brooklyn or St. Louis, and we were having a good series. Say we won the first 2 games. I've had a manager, Fred Haney, hold a little meeting and say, hey, guys, don't wake them up. Don't do anything. Let's get our 3rd win and get out of town. And yesterday, Dick Williams, if anything, woke up the Braves if they had to be awakened. I mean, they've been having some tough times. I think they played a little more spirited baseball. I think that they right now are in a frame of mind that, and we'll have to wait and see, that they could play some better baseball from now on out. And I guarantee you that they're going to play better baseball against the San Diego Padres the last 6 games. We don't know at that time whether it'll have any bearing on the outcome of the National League West or not. But many times something like that can spur a player on.
If it happens, that might be the catalyst. If the Braves start winning a lot of games and the Padres have a bit of a slump, it could get interesting for the final 6. Remember, the Braves play the Padres 6 of the final 9 games, so the Braves, if they can hack 4 or 5 games off that lead by then, would have a very outside chance. But outside chance better than no chance at all.
Night, don't you want to live?
I don't try to hit anybody, because, I'm too good, for do this, because everybody have a job, and I don't want to hurt nobody,
In the bottom of the 2nd, Perez comes to the plate for the first time, and Ed Whitson throws behind his back. Whitson is warned by the umpiring crew. Then bottom of the 4th, Perez comes up again, and once again, Whitson brushes back Perez. Both he and San Diego manager Dick Williams are ejected. Perez's next at-bat was in the 6th. Greg Booker's first pitch goes behind the Atlanta starter. Both Booker and coach Ozzie Virgil are ejected. Now, tempers really got out of hand in the 8th when the Padres finally hit Perez. Craig Lefferts doing the job, and the bench is empty.
There are some hot-tempered individuals out there. Pasquale Perez not involved there. Well, I tell you what, it's about as good a little battle as you're going to see. We've got about 5 separate fights going on out on the field. Pasquale Perez is not out there. He's gone back to the Atlanta dugout. Summers went after Pasquale Perez. While all the other players congregated out in the middle of the infield, Summers headed directly for the Braves dugout. He was held back by somebody. Here he goes. Summers charging after Perez. Bob Horner has come out. We've got some fans involved now. Oh, my. Oh, my. This one is very close to getting totally out of control. A couple of fans have come down onto the field. Other fans were involved throwing things. There's still one fan down there in the middle of all that.
Lefferts and coach Jack Kroll, along with Bobby Brown and Champ Summers, are ejected for San Diego. The umpires also throw 3 Braves out: Steve DeGrosian, Gerald Perry, and Rick Naylor. Then in the 9th, another brawl. Donnie Moore hits Greg Nettles. Nettles charges the mound, and the benches clear once again. Well, order was finally restored after the umpires cleared the benches. The Braves, of course, went on to win the game 5-3. Afterwards, Braves manager Joe Torre said the blame for this entire mess rests solely on Padres manager Dick Williams' shoulders.
What he did, taking 4 shots at the starting pitcher, which is the reason I protested the game, is that he made me take the starting pitcher out by finally hitting him after 9 innings of trying. And I think it's inexcusable. I think it's gutless. I think it stinks. And I think he should be suspended for the rest of the year. Because he didn't throw the ball, but he ordered people to throw it, which is Hitler-type tactics.
Williams did allow cameras in the Padres locker room after the game, but neither he nor any of his players would comment about the brawls on camera. However, umpiring crew chief John McSherry did give us his side of the story.
Can't comment on what I think about what Williams did because that has to go into the league office. As far as Torre goes, I think Torre did a great job of trying to keep the thing under control.
Well, it's hard to say. The next time we play him or two will tell whether this situation's over or not. I'm led to believe that it is not. Because I thought they carried it a little bit too far myself.
You know that Braves manager Joe Torre is my babe, my boy. I handpicked him to replace Bobby Cox before his name was even bantied about. But I've got to disagree with him this time round. Earlier this afternoon on WGST Sports, you heard Joe take exception to Padres manager Dick Williams' madness, which prompted yesterday's free-for-all. Joe said, retaliation is one thing, but when you come after a man 3 or 4 times a game, that's taking it too far. Well, I disagree. There was a method to Dick Williams' madness. For the most part, Williams has a young club, and they're contending for the very first time. This is their first stretch drive at the division championship. The fact of the matter is, we started the brouhaha. Whether it was Joe's instructions or those of pitching coach Bob Gibson, or if it was Pascual Perez's idea alone to plunk leadoff hitter Alan Wiggins, the obvious truth is, we started it. The important thing for Dick Williams at this point in time is for his team to develop a killer instinct. Nobody, but nobody is going to intimidate his team, and I don't blame him. Secondly, Dick Williams can afford to do anything he wants to with a 10.5-game lead, including jeopardizing the outcome of a game in the interest of retaliation. He proved his point. The Padres cannot be intimidated, and if you try, you'll be sorry you did. The Padres did lose the game yesterday, but maybe the message Williams gave his team will make them an even tougher team to beat in the future. On the other side of the coin, maybe the brawl was a blessing in disguise for the emotionless Braves. If that doesn't wake them up and pull them together, nothing will.
Rocking the night, walking on air, gonna find me some trouble, gonna grab my share. I want you tonight, I want you with me, make me guilty of love in the first degree.
With both managers, their stand-ins, and 10 others ejected, the Padres and Braves even outdid the disgraceful brawls of the Mets and Cubs recently. The National League says it will be the end of this week before the sanctions are sorted out. Let's hope Chub Feeney comes down very hard on pitchers who hit batters, batters who charge pitchers, and managers who permit, even urge, such dangerous misconduct. Certainly, the sportsmanship under Mr. Uberoth's last job and his next one, Commissioner of Baseball, offered a stark contrast yesterday.
What do you do when it's falling apart and you knew it was gone from the very start? Do you close your eyes and dream about me?
be some rule changes maybe in the off season because
It's hard to say what they will do with the retaliation rule because as it stands right now, they can throw the one brush back pitch. The umpire then warns the pitchers, which in effect carries for both clubs. And so then if the other team tries to retaliate, then you have the player and the manager thrown out. And the managers don't exactly like that rule.
And their complaint about that is that the first one gets a freebie.
Exactly.
First one thrown, so.
So you have to decide where you draw the line and how stiff you're going to make the penalty.
I guess the one positive, well, not positive, but one factual statement is that the Braves now have another rival in addition to Los Angeles that will bring fans into the stadium. So by virtue of yesterday's game, it's now San Diego. Next year, whenever San Diego comes down, we'll get all the media hype.
Or at the end of this season, depending on where the pennant race stands at that time. I think as far as the rivalry or if this brushback incident was to occur again, I think it's pretty much in the Padres' hands, though.
Mm-hmm.
They made mention of round 2. I think it's going to be up to them to instigate anything that might happen in September.
And there are 2 more series, total of 6 games, both in San Diego, and the very final weekend here, September 28th, 29th, and the 30th. San Diego will be back again. Hopefully, with some luck and a little bit of batting and some pitching, the Braves may still find themselves in it at that time.
Summer night, storm clouds in the air. My eyes a little heavy. I'm feeling in the best, but I'm hardly aware. I don't want you on the phone. Won't you play good girl with me? Why must I always say it again? I got a new girl now. I got a new girl now. I got a new girl now, and she's a lot like you. Tried to wash my face, but my head felt too low. I tried to build myself, but my mind wouldn't stay home. I don't care if you're sitting at home. Somebody's broken into me. Why must I always say it again? I got a new girl now. I got a new girl now. I got a new girl now, and she's a lot like you.
But in the National League, in the last couple of years, it's become almost out of proportion. It's become where it can actually become dangerous, where it's almost becoming part of the game plan. Brush somebody back early, hit somebody early, brush them back, intimidate them, and then the retaliation. And I tend to think that some of the tempers that you've got, it'd be easy to just take a bat, aim the pitcher's head, and return the bat right where the ball came from. And at that point, there will be some serious rule changes, and I really feel like they ought to come before that happens. And in lieu of this, I'm sure Chubb Feeney will spend several hours looking at replays, looking at the films, and deciding just what does it take to get an entire team unnerved to where they retaliate as they did. Now, if Dick Williams were to say to you as a pitcher, I want you to hit him, would you do it?
Well, I think that's what you would go along with, really. I mean, you're trying to follow manager's orders. At the same time, you're asking yourself in the back, you look at Don Leppert's reaction.
His reaction
when
was like, what did I do wrong, right?
Well, no, it's like, okay, I hit him. Now, I know, here goes everything. And he just kind of just kept moving off. And
after thinking about it and just talking with a lot of people, you realize, yes, things have been rather dull around the Atlanta sports area recently. And yes, a good fight might be something good to unite one side against the other, and it will attract an audience the next series. Now, tonight at 6 on my show live, Braves captain Bob Horner. I just mentioned that Braves pitcher Perez hit San Diego's Alan Wiggins in the first. His response as to why they're playing dodgeball.
That's just kind of their way of telling Pascual Perez, they didn't really appreciate Alan Wiggins getting hit, and that's right there where it should have stopped. In my opinion, I felt like they just wanted to hit Pascual.
Let's go to the 8th inning. Craig Lefferts hits Perez, and Horner gets in the act. Okay, this is the 8th inning.
Well, I'm not really trying to get involved in anything, but Pascual gets hit, and he's still pitching in the ball game, and he's pitching a great ball game, I might add. And Champ Summers starts running over to the bench, and there's only one person in the bench, and that's me. And I'm not going to let him get at Pascual. They had continuously thrown it at Pascual, and I don't agree with 99% of what happened, but they continued to throw at Pascual, and Donnie Moore felt like, to protect our team and to protect the guys on the team, he needed to do that.
Good lick by Donnie Moore. Another thought, and it isn't a positive nature. Something has been missing. Maybe it arrived.
Two kinds of people in this world. We're both losers. I lost my power in this world, 'cause I did not use it. So I go insane, like I always do. And I call your name. She's lost like you. Two kinds of trouble in this world. Live and die. I lost my power in this world, and the rumors are flying. So I go insane, like I always do. And I call your name. She's lost like you.
Well, would look like Championship Wrestling Sunday afternoon returns to the stadium tonight. The Pirates in town for 3 games. Everybody talking about the potential suspensions, the fight, of course. Rick Rhoden will pitch this evening against Rick Camp. Rick, who wasn't exactly a wallflower in that extracurricular activity the other day either. And tonight went down to the ballpark a few minutes ago. Everybody trying to get a good look at some snapshots a local photographer took of the fight the other day. Now, most of the guys are joking right now, but they might not be later in the week when the National League office hands out the disciplinary action.
Surprised if there aren't some major fines and suspensions for both sides. Yes, I will be very surprised that there won't be suspensions, if there won't be suspensions. And I believe this is going to really force the changes in rules, that it's going to have to give the umpire a little more authority and do some things to prevent happenings as happened the other day. And it's the scary part is, Corey, you're out here and there are people in the stands on a Sunday afternoon that are, a few of them be drinking beer, and there are 30,000 people. All of a sudden they storm out in the field, and it's scary.
Now, what also scary to Joe is the thought that half the Braves starting pitching staff may be suspended. Rick Mailer could very well find himself in the stands for a while. So, too, might Steve Bedrosian, who's just been elevated to a starting role. Mailer, Bedrosian, and Gerald Perry, this man, all returned to the field for that 9th inning melee after having been ejected earlier from the game. For that reason, they stand to receive the heaviest penalties. Still, Gerald tells me he has no regrets.
I had more to think about than that. I had to worry about my teammates, and my teammates could have been out here getting killed, and I'm standing in the dressing room worrying about myself. So I'm not this happy about what I did. If it happens again, I may do it again.
Gerald says he is ready. The Padres, in case you are wondering, back in action tonight at home versus Philadelphia. National League West standings look like this. The Braves still 9.5 games back. They've got 44 left. They got to get it in gear and do it in a hurry.
Yes, even jeopardizing the outcome of the game because, as that savvy old dugout skipper knows, the intangibles gained from his team's battlefront camaraderie will translate into tough stretch drive victories later on. Dick Williams wanted to make it clear you can't intimidate his team, and I don't blame him. We started it. And Corey, I don't condone the brawl at all, but you're talking about big egos, and don't forget we did start it.
Response would be, all right, I'll get even, but you know, if you can't do it in one time at bat and possibly 2 times at bat, and then the show's over, you know. But you can't just continuously go after somebody, you know. Pretty soon you're going to think you're going to really get in the street and get them.
Yeah, I tell you what, it was an amazing thing. You knew what Williams was trying to do. And again, we have to preface everything we say. You never know what's in anybody else's heart or mind, which is what makes the umpire's job so tough. But it was obvious, I thought, but what they were trying to do was get Perez so angry that he would lose his cool, do something to get kicked out because they weren't hitting him. He had great stuff.
Right, it couldn't do anything, you know, and I protested. I don't know if it even came over the, you know, upstairs, but I protested when I had to take Pasquale out at that point, that because of all the continuous target practice they were taking to Pasquale, I took him out for, at that point, his own safety, and I felt that was reason enough to protest the game.
That's the first I've heard of it, to be honest with you, and we've got to take some of the guilt upstairs, too. I know Pete and I on TV, when the final fight broke out, first, since the fight was more toward the Atlanta side of the field, saw the ejected Pirates come running out of their dugout, reported it, rather the ejected Padres come running out of their dugout. We reported that on the air, and when your guys who had been kicked out heard that, they came charging up the tunnel, and they may be in some serious trouble.
That's what I hear, and it's a shame because I guess my aggressors in the fight have been my aggressors all season too, with Perry, Mailer, and Bedrosian. And we're pitching Bedrock tomorrow and Mailer on Thursday, not for any other reason than that's when they were scheduled. And I hope the heck it's not going to be anything too terribly bad because we really can afford that kind of situation.
Well, if there are suspensions, the irony of it is it will hurt the Padres because though you lose some valuable people, it would hurt the Braves. They would lose some valuable people. The guys that would help were people who weren't even here, the Los Angeles Dodgers.
All right, yeah, and the problem with it's double jeopardy, Skip. The problem with suspensions is you don't get a chance to replace those guys, so you're dealing with lesser players also, less players on your 25-man roster. So, you know, as I say, I'm not anxious to find out, but I'm curious of what's going to happen.
Well, it was a wild day. Can you recall one any wilder than that in your long career?
No, never. That's the worst one I've ever seen, and I was mentioning earlier today that in the event we were losing that particular game, you might have seen a lot more fans on the field, and it could have gotten a lot more scary.
I thought the security guys and the umpires did a heck of a job in a very, very unpleasant situation.
Without a doubt. John McSherry, with 3 young umpires to help him out, I thought handled it very, very well. Didn't lose his cool. Seemed to, you know, be very much aware of what he had to do. I'm sure he second-guessed himself about a lot of things because he didn't think it was going to go on and on and on. And as it turned out, I'm sure it's the first time an umpire was hoping that Pasquale would give up a couple of runs so I'd take him out.
Some people say they will never believe another promise they hear in the dark, because they only remember too well they heard somebody tell them before. Some people sleep all alone every night instead of taking a lover to bed. Some people find that it's easier to hate than to wait anymore. I know you don't want to hear what I say. I know you're gonna keep turning away. But I've been there, and if I can survive can keep you alive. I'm not above going through it again. I'm not above being cool for a while. If you're cruel to me, I understand. Some people run from a possible fight. Some people figure they can never win. And although this is a fight I can lose, the accused is an innocent man.
Sunday afternoon, it was base brawl at Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. Donnie Moore pitching to Greg Nettles.
And that pitch hits Greg Nettles, and he's going after Donnie Moore. Here we go again.
Nettles was the third player hit. There were many pitches thrown at Pascual Perez. That was the second melee of the day. The ramifications still have to be felt. There will be many suspensions, I am sure. But the question is, did the Padres wake a sleeping dog? Will this spur on the Braves to have a great final 6 weeks of the season?
Touched off by the brush-back pitches thrown by Padres pitcher after Pascual Perez hit the first San Diego batter. And so Chub Feeney's going to take a look at that today. Maybe by late this afternoon we'll have some kind of announcement as to fines and or suspensions. You can bet there's going to be fines, and I think it's a pretty good bet there's going to be suspensions too. I'd say right around the 5-game mark maybe for some of the Braves that came back into the melee after being tossed out the first time, including Steve Bedrosian and Rick Mailer and Gerald Perry also. So we'll wait and see if any stiff penalties are against those three or against members of the San Diego Padres. Should be some of the Padres, too, that are going to get the axe.
So you've been fined 1,000, suspended 3 days. Gerald Perry has been fined, I think, 700, suspended 3 days. Steve Bedrosian fined 600, suspended 3 days. Rick Mailer, 700, suspended 3 days. Perez, 300, no suspension. Moore, 850, no suspension. What do you think?
I guess you'd get a CD with that, all that money. I don't know, but I think it could have been worse, Skip, especially with the suspensions of the players. I didn't know if I was going to get suspended or not, but, you know, when you realize that your players went off the field and came back, which they shouldn't have, and you're responsible for your players. So, you know, I don't think it's a harsh fine or a suspension in my case.
I would really be surprised if Dick Williams doesn't get worse, because the umpires report, at least in the newspapers, John McSherry praised you for trying to keep your team and doing a good job keeping your team under control, while he indicated that Dick Williams did just the opposite.
Well, we'll just see how much praise is worth. I don't know. You know, mine's a $1,000 fine, and I'm curious to see what the San Diego club is going to get assessed, and it's going to be interesting to find out.
So you're suspended starting tomorrow. Now, what does that mean? That means you can come to the ballpark, you can sit in the stands, you can sit in the press box, I guess, but you can't be in uniform on the field. Is that not the way it works?
Right. I'll have to double check on that, and I know that the players, because I remember Soto, when he was suspended, he could work out, but when the game starts, they cannot be in uniform. So you can't hurt the players by not enabling them to work out. So we'll just see what happens. I'm just curious if I can get my workout in before game time.
Who will be the manager, or will you use sort of a troika system?
It'll be a bunch of people, you know, actually two. It'll be Bob Gibson will handle the lineup cards, and, you know, we'll be in the dugout changing the pitchers, making the visits, and Dow Maxfield will naturally be on the lines, knowing how I run a ball game, and be giving the signs, and from there.
So he'll manage from third base, and there won't be any relay of signs from anybody in the dugout.
Right.
So you will be a very frustrated fellow, I would think. It's got to drive you a little nuts to watch your ball club play and not be able to do anything about it, or will you work out some sort of walkie-talkie sneakiness?
No, I have no plan as of right now. I can't afford any more fines, Skip.
$1,000. Were you angry when you got to work?
No, I wasn't. You know, I was really, when Al Thornwell, our VP, told me I was fine, I said, you know, what about the players? I wasn't even concerned about myself, because I was more concerned about the guys who play the game. You know, as far as not trying to make a manager's job light, that it isn't, you know, but you know, I have coaches that know how I handle the ball game, so that wouldn't change a great deal. So it was the players, and I was very pleased that we're not going to really lose the players, except in the case of Bedrosian, who had some arm problems last night, but the disciplinary action won't keep him out of the games.
Yeah, really a break for Atlanta. Gerald Perry is really the only guy that could play that won't be able to play because of the suspension.
Right, and you know, we just hope we don't get in those extra inning games where you're gonna miss that extra player. But Gerald will be our left-hander coming off the bench, and he won't be our left-hander coming off the bench for 3 days starting tomorrow.
And I know that the $1,000 doesn't bother a man like you, a man of high-powered talent on a radio show like this. $1,000, you light your cigars with.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Braves Report from Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. It's live, the final game of this homestand, the final game of the three-game series against Pittsburgh, and the game becomes very important with the fact that San Diego has been beaten by Philadelphia. If the Braves could win tonight and sweep this three-game series, they would move a game closer, 8.5 games behind the Padres. Obviously, if they lose, they will remain 9.5 behind San Diego. And with the games dwindling down and chances few, the Braves have to take advantage of every break they get. Philadelphia beat them badly. We'll talk about that a bit later on. You've heard about the fines and suspensions. I think we'll only concern ourselves with the suspensions on this program since we have so little time. The Braves losing Bedrosian and Mailer, but it kind of works out because Mailer is able to pitch tonight, and then he and Bedrosian are able to come off the suspended list, as is Gerald Perry, on Monday, and neither Bedrosian or Mailer was going to pitch in St. Louis anyway. So the Braves get a break. They lose only Gerald Perry. San Diego had a host of players fined. I think Dick Williams was suspended for 10 games, and they lose 2 players for, I believe 3 days, Bobby Brown and Champ Summers. Yes, it is 3 days. They have a whole bunch of guys fined, but the money that they make and the money the ball club makes, I don't think there's a problem about the fine. So the Braves, I think, got off in very good shape because
my guest tonight is Pascual Perez, who pitched and won his last ball game on Sunday, but I don't know if you've ever been involved in a ball game like that in your life. I've never seen so many people being thrown around, and a lot of things happen out there. How are you feeling? Okay?
Yeah, I feel pretty good, you know, but this is my first time, you know. I see the kind of game like that, you know, a lot of people fight together, you know. See, that's really ridiculous, you know, because I don't like to fight, you know, and personally, I don't like to throw, I don't like to hit nobody, you know, because I'm too good for that, you know. I have really good control, you know, I have a really good stuff for pitcher, you know.
Were you trying to pitch him tight, Wiggins?
Yeah, I try to pitch him tight, you know, because every time you throw a pitcher outside, you know, to hit hard the other way, you know, I try to keep the ball inside real tight, you know. Because sometimes when I pitch him inside, hit a ground ball, second base, ground ball, short throw, you know. This is why I don't try to hit him.
Okay, they levied the fines today and the suspension from the National League office, and I believe you were fined $300, and the reason being is that you backed away from the plate and you held onto your bat, and you kind of brandished the bat, and so you were fined $300. Did you expect that?
You know, I never expect that. You know, I think it's weak. You know, because I don't try, you know, hit nobody because I have the bat in my hand. You know, I don't try to hit nobody on the bat. You know. You know, but I'm not real happy, you know, for the fine of $300, you know, because, see, all night long, the pitcher for San Diego, he tried to hit me, you know, and I'm not doing nothing. I don't throw to nobody, you know. I don't try to hit nobody, you know, because I know like to, you know, cut out somebody's career, you know, hit somebody, you know, not play baseball like Dickie Tom, somebody hitting the head, you know. I don't like doing kind of thing like that, you know. I had to pitch in my game. I don't know why I get suspension for about $300.
You know, Pasquale, you must have felt after you went up there the second time and they kept throwing the ball at you. What were your feelings? You just felt that one of the times they were going to hit you?
Yeah, I feel like a cry, you know, because, see, I'm not mad, you know. Only I get mad only one time. When Eddie Wilson tried to hit me, you know. I don't know why, you know. And after that, you know, I not get mad because I pitch in my game, you know. So I want to pitch in my game because I needed the Buffalo need to win the game. You know, I needed to, you know. And, you know, I not get mad in the game, you know. I don't know the other Buffalo, you know, they get jealous, you know, because everybody is wanting to hit me, you know. I don't know why, you know. So no reason for this.
How can you just walk away from me when all I can do is watch you leave? 'Cause we shared the laughter and the pain, even shared the tears. You're the only one who really knew me at all. So take a look at me now. There's just an empty space. There's nothing left here to remind me. Just a memory of your face. Oh, take a look at me now. There's just an empty space. And you coming back to me is against the odds. And that's what I've got to face. I wish I could just make you turn around and see me cry. There's so much I need to say to you, so many reasons why. You're the only one who really knew me at all. So take a look at me now. Well, there's just an empty space. There's nothing left here to remind me. Just a memory of your face. Now take a look at me now. 'Cause there's just an empty space. But to wait for you is all I can do, and that's what I've got to face. Take a good look at me now. 'Cause I'll still be standing here, and you coming back to me is against all odds. It's the chance I've got to take.
It all started with an apparent purpose pitch from Braves pitcher Pascual Perez. He hit San Diego's Alan Wiggins, leading off the game.
In the event Pascual hit Wiggins on purpose, which I don't believe now, then once they took their shot at getting Pascual, that should have been over with.
Well, the Padres took several shots at retaliation. All 4 times Perez came to the plate. Here, Ed Whitson missed him 3 times in the same at-bat. And then Whitson got tossed out of the game.
Well, I think there's a lot of guys that, know how the game is played and are going to support their fellow players, and sometimes they're going to, retaliate if they have to.
And in the 8th inning, Craig Lefferts finally manages to hit Perez.
It's an unfortunate incident, something that, you hate to see happen in this game, but unfortunately, they started it, and we had to do something about it, and we finished it.
And that touched off the first of 2 bench-clearing brawls. It was rather typical of baseball fights, tackling and pushing and shoving. But then this. Padres pinch hitter Champ Summers headed toward the Braves bench looking for Perez.
I was just trying to make a point. Perez, if he's a team player and everything, and he's so talented and all this and that, right? Why didn't he come back out there and field with everybody else? He ran in the dugout. Well, so he let his 24 players go out there and get hurt so they can protect him. Well, that to me, that doesn't make sense. And I just kept him in mind. All I want to do is just scare him anyhow. What am I going to do with that guy?
Then in the 9th inning, Donnie Moore hit Greg Nettles, and that touched off brawl number 2. In all, 13 ejections, 9 players, 2 managers, and 2 acting managers. And it didn't stop there. The fans in Atlanta who tried to get involved were arrested and let off in handcuffs, one of the ugliest sights baseball has seen. And the war of words continued afterwards between the managers.
He insisted on, precipitating this whole thing and got to what could have been a riot from out of the stands. And to me, it takes somebody really goofy to start something like this.
I can't comment on what I think about what Williams did because that has to go into the league office. As far as Torrey goes, I think Torrey did a great job of trying to keep the thing under control. And I think without him, it would have got a lot worse.
But Torrey was quoted as calling Williams an idiot and gutless.
I wasn't on the field, which prompted Torrey to say that I was gutless. I'll meet him anywhere he wants, on the street corner in New York, where he's from, wherever. At least he's learning how to spell better.
In talking with the Padres here in San Diego, a common thread emerged from the interviews. While, yes, they admitted that the incident was very ugly last Sunday in Atlanta.
Well, Tony, in the estimation of Dick Williams, I guess Pascual threw at Wiggins on purpose. And, he took all day to try to get him back and finally did the last time up. One credit I can give to Pascual is I wanted to pinch hit for him before he came up that last time, but he wouldn't hear of it, and it turned into the worst fight of all.
All right, are you satisfied the way the suspensions and fines went at this point?
Well, I think that there were a couple of players that got thrown out of the game for San Diego and got back on the field, like my players, like Mailer and Bedrosian and Gerald Perry, and our guys got suspended. And aside from Champ Summers, I understand that Bobby Brown suspension was lifted, and I know he was on the field for that last fight after he had been thrown out of the game, and I'm pretty sure that Whitson, who was the first pitcher thrown out of the game, was back on the field also.
You made some pretty strong statements a few days ago that Dick Williams, the manager of the Padres, is completely responsible for it. Do you still stand by that?
Oh, for sure. Before the last time Pascual got to the plate, you could see a chain reaction of nods coming from the bench out to Nettles at third, and he went to the pitcher, and then he got hit with the first pitch. So